Namaste.
Pranam Pawanji, good morning and welcome back. And for those who don't know, we are studying the Living Hanuman, which is written by Pawanji. We are going to study the Shri Hanuman Chalisa Verse 6 today. And I'm so happy to see you firstly. So I will just, as usual, I will go through the small excerpts from the book, and then you will give us some insights into it, shedding more light into the simpler meanings that we often tend to miss. Okay, so the verse 6 begins with Sankar Suvan Kesari Nandan Tej Pratap Mahajagbandan. And then you give an English translation which says, Shankara, sun, joy of Kesari, you are being, as luminescence, you shine in all, praised by every being as light, as conscience. And there is an in-point meaning, which is like an affirmation, and I have been doing that every time, a few days when I study it. Every few days, then my affirmation changes. And in this one, it is, in my heart, I hold the effluent glow of the illumined beings, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, which is very, very beautiful. So please tell us something about this verse.
Okay, great. So right in the beginning, you said it's a very simple verse, has apparently doesn't have much layers of meaning. The verse is Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan Tej Pratap Mahajag Bandan. Shankar Suvan, son of Shankar. Kesari Nandan, son of Kesari, or joy of Kesari. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan. So talking about Hanumanji, Hanumanji is being still introduced. So here his parentage or his origins are being introduced, and he's being called son of Shankara, and the joy of Kesari, in one way, son of Kesari, his Vanara father. And Tej Pratap Mahajag Bandhan simply means that you are so brilliant and your brilliance is praised in the whole world. The whole world praises your brilliance. So simple. So you are Shiva's son, your Kesari's joy, and your brilliance is praised by all. So if you look at it at this level, there is not much you can unravel. This is the literal meaning. But the beauty of our traditional sciences or traditional texts is that every verse has a literal meaning, then it has a sense meaning of its essence, and then there is a meaning at the level of its vibrational meaning. So here we have seen the literal meaning. If you go to the next layer, so he's introduced as Shankara's son of Shankara. Who is Shankara? Shankaroti iti Shankara. Shankara is commonly used as a name of Shiva. Shiva Shankar, we say it just like that. In another layer, Shankara is considered to be the god or that power of Shiva which is used for dissolution. All the time in our body of 70 trillion cells, millions every second are being dissolved. That's Shankara in action. But true meaning here is, if you look at look at this verse in the context of the whole Chalisa, here Shankara means Shankaroti. Shang means peace. Karoti means doer. So Shankara means the doer of peace, who brings peace. And Hanumanji is said to be a product of that. He is the outcome of that peace. He is the son of the doer of peace. So therefore, in one way, he is the messenger of peace. He is the ambassador of peace. He is the harbinger of peace. And thus, this verse points towards practice of peace. It's a very subtle space within us where everything is harmonized. Everything is Shankara. Everything is as if everything is in harmony. Everything is in sync. Shankara, you can also say Sinkara, somebody who brings everything in sync. So when everything is in sync, the outcome of that will be expressed as the presence of Hanuman. Shankara. And Kesari Nandan, Kam Sarah. Kam means Yajurveda ends with the last verse, 40th verse. Yajurveda says, Om Kam Brahma, Kam Brahma. Yajurveda says, Kam is Brahman. And what is Kam? Kam means Ananda. Ananda, that which doesn't have its opposite. Ananda, bliss, highest, irreversible, immutable, unchangeable bliss. That is Kam. Sara, the essence of that. So Kesari is the essence of bliss. That is Kesari. And of that essence, he is the joy that arises out of that essence. When you are in bliss, you will express it as a certain joyfulness in your life. So the peace that is expressed in our life, the joy that is expressed in our life, which arises out of everything being in sync within, or being in a joyful state inside, a state of acceptance, a state of gratitude, a state of flow. That presence is Hanuman. So Shankar Suvan, Kesari Nandan. These are 2 pointers. And then in some variants it says Shankar Suana. That is also another interpretation. It says he is Shankar himself. But Shankar himself, who was born as Kesari Nandan. So there it is pointed that Shankara himself, Shiva himself, took birth on earth in form of Hanuman in a literal sense, say 7,000 years ago. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nandan. And then Tej Pratap Mahajagbandan. Tej Pratap. Teja means light. There is a whole Upanishad which talks about, which is known as Tejo Bindu Upanishad. The Upanishad of a drop of light. Tejo Bindu Upanishad. Right? So that Tej, that light, and Pratap, heat. So light and heat are properties of fire, Agni. So here it is being pointed towards his being Agni, in not only in the sense of fire, but in the sense of metabolic fire, in the sense of warmth and light that is necessary for life itself. And Mahajag, Jag means universe. Mahajag means super universe, in which all universes are a subset of. Today we know that. Not only that, Mahajag could also mean multiverses that Stephen Hawking talked about. So at the very same time, we are in many, many, many universes. One of the universes, the Zoom universe that we are right now both arrived into. You are in London, I'm in Rishikesh, and both of us are in another universe, another space. And when this video will be seen by many people, at the same time, in many, many multiverses, we will still be there, though we will not be there physically. You will be walking around in London, I might be running in Rishikesh or taking a dip in the Ganges. So Mahajag, here it is that expansive existence of space, not only in terms of physical expansion, but in terms of its multi-layeredness is indicated. And Vandan, Vandana means to be known, to be acknowledged, to be respected. You can say that, to be acknowledged. So we must acknowledge Hanuman. We must acknowledge Hanumanji as such, as the multiverse in which he is present as the light and heat of presence, existence itself. And within our own realities, he is present as peace and as joy. So that would be the meaning of this line.
I particularly highlighted the part where you had said, because I wanted to take it up in our session where you talk about Shankar Swayam Kesari. So that was one of the parts which you have addressed. And the other part I would really love you to tell all the people who are going to watch this video is how in the book you have associated Triyambakam with the Mahamrityunjay jap, how you have associated it in terms of understanding the word Triambaka. Please tell us a little bit about it, because I have read it. Not everyone will get a chance. For many people, this will just be a video they will, watch through. But I would love them to get the essence of that.
So Triambakam, first of all, Amba means eyes. So 3 eyes, somebody who has 3 eyes. Here it is already pointed out, is Shankara himself, the 3-eyed Shankara. So therefore Triambakam. At another level, he is the son of Shankara. He is the son of Kesari, and he is also the son of Pawan. That's why he is known as Pawan Kumar, which we have seen in our earlier verses. So he has 3 fathers. Amba also means father, 3 fathers. And Amba means mother. So therefore he has 3 corresponding mothers. He has Anjani, his physical mother, then Parvati, who happens to be the wife of Shiva, so in that case his mother, and thirdly Sitaji, who accepts him as his own son and calls him her son. So that is the adopted mother. So he has 3 mothers, 3 fathers, 3 eyes. In whichever way we understand Triambakam, it points to Hanumanji. There is no other character pointed out in the Hindu scriptures who have 3 fathers, who have 3 mothers, and also 3 eyes. So Triambakam here would mean Hanumanji, and the whole Triambak mantra can be said to be addressed to Hanumanji.
I love that part of how you were able to, give a different perspective, because generally when we do the Mahamrityunjay Triambakam Yajamahe, we are naturally inclined to think of the Mahashiv. And although Hanumanji is the 11th incarnation, which you mentioned in this book, but the minute you pick up a word and you sit with the essence of the word, like you said, that every singular word in any of the chants that we do, or any Chalisa that we understand, everything has an essence meaning and a vibrational meaning. To understand it in depth, one has to have obviously either someone to guide or give insight, or one has to really study a lot themselves. So every verse also you associate Ayurveda, and this one's my favorite, and that's why I decided to wear the color I'm wearing today. In Ayurveda, you talk about kesara or saffron, which is really, really helpful for normal neurological functions, and especially in Hindu culture, if you come across, we use saffron a lot. So it works on the tejas, and especially in winter. I mean, it's something very common here in London. Definitely, we use a lot of saffron.
Not only that, you have a very special oil known as Kumkumadi.
Yeah.
Kumkumadi oil. So Kumkumadi oil has kesar in it, and it is supposed to bring a golden saffronish glow on your face. You can use that.
You ask any woman who wanted, everyone would raise hands for that, for sure. We want that natural glow. And the yoga, I actually have practiced this pose a lot. You talk about the Simha Asana or the lion pose. And there was this particular time in my life where I felt that I needed some courage from within and the power to speak up that which I truly feel inside. And I did practice. At that point, I was practicing yoga quite regularly. And my yoga teacher, he asked me, whatever he used to tell me, I should just do it and never, ask him anything. Then one day he decided to make me do this pose. I was very shy at first to open up and do the lion pose and make the noise as well. But it was very helpful to me, to be really honest. So the lion pose, in which you kind of sit down and you stretch your tongue out and then you kind of say out a loud roar. So that's the one that you have associated it to it, which also works on the central nervous system. But for me, definitely worked on the courage part of it. And which is why I was surprised when I turned the page, when I first read this verse. In the In Journey, the first question you have mentioned with like a big bold is courage. And, when I remembered reading this, and I remembered my personal journey of requiring courage at a certain time, when I did the questions before our session, the courage question said that what challenge in the form of change do I need to face with courage? And I'm sure we all have a big list in that case. Now so those are very personal questions, but there is a third question which is particularly nice, in which you have said, how do I access the universal mind, Mahat? So, you had given the Mahajag Bandhan, you had given the Maha interpretation to us earlier. And then the following question, it says, how do I get to touch its presence as reflected within my personal mind in the form of my inner voice? I think we all kind of feel very challenged when it comes to listening to your inner voice. Would you like to give just a few lines on this question particularly?
So first, I would like to say, I would want to bring the association between the lion pose and this verse. Kesari also is a synonym for a lion. Kesari is a lion, and therefore this connection to the lion pose is given here. And Kesari, the father of Hanumanji, was a king. He was like a lion, like a king. So that is how this association comes up. When you speak of listening or getting in touch with the universal mind, this is a practice. Well, in that practice, one of the first steps of that practice is our own mind is limited by its own chatter. The chatter of our mind closes it like this, like crabs pull the rest of the crabs trying to escape a basket, pull them back. If you're carrying a basket of crabs, you can have an open basket. You don't need to cover it because no crab can get out of it. Similarly, our minds are self-limited by the thoughts that are curved upon itself. And here, if you wish to touch the universal mind or experience the universal mind, you need to learn how to silence the mind so that you can listen to the universal mind. Say if you go to a sea beach to listen to the roar of the ocean, you need to be quiet yourself. But if you're talking, chatting on the phone, you'll miss the voice of the waves or voice of the sea breeze. That is exactly the same way that you need to learn the practice of being silent or still to be able to access the universal mind.
Thank you so much. I personally wrote a very short answer to this one. I will rework on it. Although we all know what you're talking about, but to apply and implement really in your everyday life, to touch your intuition and allow it to guide you is something that we constantly need work on, no matter how advanced we are in understanding or studying the scriptures or not. And then you end this with a hymn meditation, which I particularly love in everything. I think we should really make some audio notes of you saying the hymn meditation. And my action point, which is the takeaway from this verse, is to practice being in a state of unconditional joy. That is something obviously we all would love to be in. Thank you so much for having to do this verse with us. And thank you for giving us such different perspectives to something that is so in front of you, but yet it evades you sometimes. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for teaching us always. See you soon in the next one.